馬では姿勢武器商はあ地獄へ落ちろ人間どもめ
So today I'd like to talk to you about Rising of the Shield Hero. Shield Hero is a new isekai anime airing this season that has many people up in arms. To sum up Shield Hero in the simplest way possible, it's like the snarky, pessimistic older brother of the slime anime. The main character, Naofumi Iwatani, gets transported to a new world to find out he is one of the 4 legendary heroes that is destined to save their world, except he's the most hated hero with the most useless weapon. Whereas the slime anime focuses on Rimuru's kindness and acceptance of others and building a community, this is the opposite, with Naofumi being abandoned by the world and brought down to his lowest low, where he must do whatever he needs to do in order to survive. Okay, I can see where the rising part comes in now, but where's the dumpster fire? The controversy comes from the fact that a false rape accusation is what sets Naofumi's journey in motion. And as if to twist the knife, Naofumi's circumstances leave him no other choice but to buy a child slave to fight for him. False rape accusations and child slavery are definitely sensitive subjects that should not be taken lightly, so I can see how this anime would not be for everyone, and that's okay. But the problem is when people start advocating for censorship or when it becomes a hysterical witch hunt. The show was already gathering negative attention weeks before it released. People on Twitter have been questioning Crunchyroll's decision to co-fund the show and promote it so heavily. Frankly, I'm not surprised that they would. No matter what agendas they may have, at the end of the day, they're still a business. And what better way to promote a show than through controversy? People eat it right up. Just look at Goblin Slayer. It was one of the most viewed anime of last season despite all the negativity it got surrounding its first episode, or rather, because of all that attention. Negative or positive, it gets people to engage. For example, you clicked on this video because either you were curious to know why it's a dumpster fire, or you were ready to fight me on it. I made this video because I'm tired of all the controversy. It all feels overblown. As someone who had previously read some of the web novels, I was looking forward to this adaptation. And before I even had the chance to sit down and watch it, it was already being labeled worst anime of the season by critics. It made me feel like I was somehow a terrible person for ever even enjoying it. But then I realized, wait, I'm not. I have my own tastes and tolerances just like a critic has his own. Yes, they may have a mastery of words and can eloquently articulate their feelings about media, but keep in mind it's all still subjective. They're not beholden by some higher authority to be completely unbiased and write reviews that cater to all. Critics' jobs are to criticize. Sure, each one has a different approach, but regardless of what it is, the point of being a critic is to not pull your punches. Think about it. It's more interesting for them to take a stance even if it's extreme because A, it allows them to be honest, and B, it gets a reaction out of you. Who wants to read a review that takes everyone's side? For example, I've followed a specific critic for a while that more often than not trashes a show I enjoy and will praise another one that I can't even begin to fathom how he would enjoy. So why do I keep reading his stuff? Because I admire the way he writes and he offers a different perspective that challenges my own, making me want to understand how people can engage with media so differently. And the beauty of it, he can still be wrong, and I can still be wrong. So if critics didn't like Shield Hero, then I respect their honesty. But now I'm going to tell you what I enjoyed about the first episode. If you haven't watched it yet and want to avoid spoilers, then jump ahead to this timestamp. Now, I didn't find the episode to be anything outstanding, but that's actually how the beginning of the story is. It was completely faithful to the source material with all of the misfortune piling on top of Naofumi to set him up for his journey. While some things may feel pretty unoriginal, like the video game menus and his ability to feed materials to his shield to unlock other abilities, I actually didn't mind it. What I really enjoyed was the concept of the legendary weapons and how each hero is summoned from an alternate Japan. It was great seeing the 4 heroes come together and discover that amongst themselves, and how the other 3 basically think they're just in a video game, which actually explained a lot about the way they're acting. If we analyze this very first scene after they have all just arrived in the world, compare Naofumi's behavior to the other 3. Naofumi looks confused and out of place, which is an understandable reaction to being teleported to another world, while the other 3 seem confident and demanding from the outset. At first glance, it just seems odd that these characters who should know as little as Naofumi would be acting this way. The natural assumption is to think though that they're just jerks, but as it's revealed later, they already know about this world through the video games they've played. Thus, the reason for their behavior is that they're playing the roles they know best in order to win the game. This might also explain why their characterization throughout the episode seemed a bit one-dimensional. Naofumi's downfall comes from his lack of knowledge about the world. Being the shield hero makes him start at a disadvantage. If he had known this coming in, he would have been able to maneuver himself to a better position or at least minimize the damage. Instead, he gets screwed over in the worst way possible. The rest of the episode plays out in a way that's supposed to capture Naofumi's descent to the bottom of society. The bleakness of his situation and the unsavoriness of his actions are supposed to make you feel uncomfortable. When he threatens the merchant with orange balloons, it makes sense because this is what he has to do in order to survive. But then the expression on his face makes you question whether this is really just about survival. And then it goes to another extreme by having him decide to buy a slave, which shows you that he's hit rock bottom. Is this character even worth rooting for? Well, as the weapons merchant noticed earlier, there is good in Naofumi, it's just buried underneath all the hurt. What I find refreshing about this isekai is that it takes off the cheat codes and places the main character on the hardest difficulty. By allowing the main character to fall this low, it will serve as an opportunity to build this character and show what he really stands for once he sees past his bitterness. What I enjoy about Naofumi himself is that he is problematic. He's he's not a clear-cut hero. His bitterness is nothing to be admired, but at the same time it makes him feel deeply flawed and real. I mean, who wouldn't feel bitter? The shield hero was blamed and condemned without any evidence because they wanted to see him fall. It was pretty obvious throughout the episode that they had preconceived notions about him. So it's pretty safe to assume that there was more at play here. But does that justify all his actions going forward? No, because what makes a great character is not someone who continues a cycle of cruelty by inflicting the same pain on others, but instead someone who proves them wrong by getting the job done despite all of their efforts to hinder him. Without spoiling too much, I also just enjoy that Naofumi just doesn't give a shit and just does things his own way. What does that say about me? That my tastes are terrible? Well, if that's what you think, sure. But I'm just being honest, and you should be too. You have the right to think for yourself and engage with media how you want. Form your own opinion and stand by it instead of wasting your energy trying to get other people to conform to yours. Don't feel the need to be validated by anyone, but ask yourself questions, find out why you like what you like. And don't get me wrong, debate is great when it's constructive. In a community where our first instinct is to call each other's taste trash when it doesn't align with ours, no one wins. It actually reminds me of this scene in Devilman Crybaby. Just like this goes to an extreme to capture the ugliness of humanity, there's also a capacity to do better. So the next time you're ready to die on a hill for something that at the end of the day doesn't really matter, ask yourself, is it worth it? And if you still purposely throw yourself into the dumpster fire, then maybe you just love it. Hey guys, what do you think? Is this whole situation overblown, or do you think Shield Hero is truly offensive? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a like. And if you'd like to see more of my content in the future, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and don't forget to ring the little bell next to it to turn on notifications. Besides that, I'm OniMaru, and I'll see you guys in the next video.